Today we're going to make a lower third. And even though in this project we're only going to have one lower third, it's a good idea to go ahead and get your file folder structure set correctly for when you do larger projects. So I'm inside the Project 2 interview folder right now, and I'm going to make a new folder. And I'm just going to call it, you can call it lower thirds, or even you can just put LT. That way we can put all of our lower thirds within this folder, and we can easily find them later on. So I'm here in my project, which should already have your 3 interviews edited back to back. And what I'm going to do now is, you've noticed up here it says project template. I'm going to move over to the new lower third sequence. And this here is going to be where I'm going to type everything, and then I'm going to have to export this out and then put it into my actual timeline on my project template. So first thing, if your mouse isn't, if your play bar here isn't in the middle, it's somehow at the beginning or all the way at the end where you can't see anything, make sure you move it to the middle so you can see what you are doing. And everything is self-explanatory right here on the different video tracks. We have our story subject name. We have our Twitter and our Twitter. The Twitter is for the actual reporter, and then when we interview people, it is going to be their title. Everything is always in all caps. The only thing that is in upper and lower case is the Twitter handle, so people can read that easier. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to take this story subject name, and I'm going to double click on it, and it opens up here in our editor. And you notice that there's a little bounding box around this area. I'm actually going to highlight it, and I'm going to hit delete so it's there. Whoops, I forgot one letter. There we go. And this person's name is Kelly Jennett, and it is KELIJENNETT. Okay, there's her name. Okay, we always want it right here on the left. We don't want to move it over or center it. We want it right here so that is on our left. That looks good. Now I'm just going to hit the little X up here. It'll save it. And notice it appears up here. Now I'm going to go to the Twitter. Now we're not going to put her Twitter, remember. What we're going to put is her title. And sometimes when you're working on things, if you notice her name didn't show up, that's okay. It's really there. For some reason, it doesn't always show. So what we're going to do, and remember, it has to be in all caps. So I'm going to just put the caps lock on so that I make sure that I do it that way. I'm going to delete that. And she is Dockside Lake Resort, and she's the owner. Okay. And I'm going to hit the little red X. Don't worry, it automatically saves it. And here we go. Kelly Jennett, Dockside Lake Resort owner. Great. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click down here in the timeline, because if you notice, we talked about the highlighted box around of which window is active. There's nothing active here because I was in editing the title. So I need to come down here. There we go. Here's our little blue box, so we know that this is what it's going to export. I'm going to come up to File, Export Media. Now this is a little bit different than you did on your first project. For this format, it has to be QuickTime. You can't have any other format. Other formats are not going to work correctly. One on QuickTime, and then for the preset, we want the GoPro Cineform RGB 12-bit with alpha. It has to be with alpha. If you don't do it with alpha, it's not going to be able to see the person we're interviewing. Alpha is transparent area, and this black that's in our above here and also below our lower third, that's all transparent. So if we do it with alpha, it'll show through, and then we'll be able to see the person talking behind them. Otherwise, when you put the graphic up, it's just going to have this black box. So that's good. Now I'm going to save this output name. So I'll click here. Now I'm going to go into my lower third folder. And it's a good idea when you save these, go ahead and put LT at the beginning so that you keeps all the lower thirds together if you somehow get mixed up with other things. Plus, you know exactly what this is. This is the lower third, and it is for Kelly Jennett. Okay, I'm going to hit save. Then I'm going to hit export. And I'm going to let this thing export out. And then when it's all done, it will put it into that folder. Okay, and we're done. For some reason, when I exported today, I don't know if it was my internet connection or what, but it kept freezing on the export. Even a couple times said not responding. Don't worry, just sit back, let it do its thing. It may take a minute or two, but then you'll finally get your exported file. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over to Project Template. And then over here in my project bin, I'm going to make a new folder here, or a new bin. So I right-click, new bin. I'm just going to call it lower thirds, or even just LT is fine. And then I'm going to right-click. I'm going to import. Right now I'm in my raw footage folder, as you can see here. I'm going to click back, and I'm going to go into my lower third. I'm going to grab her lower third and open it. Now what I can do is I can just click, and I can drag it to where I want it. Now, on this project, we want to have it after you ask the first question and that person starts talking. So I can actually zoom in, I can play the track, and I can find exactly where I want it to be. For what I have here is just a still image. But I don't have an actual interview, but you'll see when you play it back, you'll be able to see it go in at the correct time, and then also it's gonna, when it's done, go out. So that's how it should look. Of course, you'll have moving video and not just a still image. And then that's it for doing a lower third. If you have to do more lower thirds, then what you do is you would then go back to the lower third sequence, make your edits, save it, and then you'd have to import them.